Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and boy, do I have another fun interview for you. I know I always say it, but don't I always mean it? They are fun, aren't they? And as you already know, we're huge blues fans here at Boomerocity, and we're always thrilled when we get to talk to a blues artist, and we're always flattered when we get to talk to them two, three, four, five times, whatever the case may be. And the case is, this time is my second chat with blues great Joanne Shaw Taylor. She's on Joe Bonamassa's record label, and she's got a new album out called Black and Gold, produced by longtime Bonamassa producer Kevin Shirley, the legendary Kevin Shirley, I may add. He has worked with everybody, man. Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, you name it, he's probably worked for them and with them. And just one of the sharpest producers in the recording business. And so this album is a double threat because it is Joanne with Kevin, and it is a killer album. You're going to want it. If you're already a Joanne Shaw Taylor fan, you already know you don't even need to preview it. Just buy it because you're going to want it. If you haven't heard of Joanne, take my word for it. Just go ahead and buy it because you're going to love her work. And this interview is a fun one. She was at her apartment in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm here in the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, just 3 or 4 hours east of her. And we had a delightful visit talking about the albums, the stories behind it, and a couple funny stories to add to it outside of that album. So while you're listening to this interview or watching it, would you hit like and would you hit subscribe to whatever platform you're receiving this on, either podcast or say YouTube, and would you share it? Share it with your friends and ask them to do the same, to like, to subscribe, and to share. It helps us out and it doesn't cost you anything. So without any further ado, here is my second of what I hope are many more interviews to come with the incredible Joanne Shaw Taylor. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hello.
Well, hello, Joanne. How you doing?
I'm doing good, love. Let me turn you up a tiny bit. There we go.
All
How are
right.
you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been about a
Oh,
year and a half since we last spoke. So it's good to see your face again and hear your voice, other than
oh
from your
good.
recordings. So,
Oh, good. I just brushed out the gym. My hair's soaking wet, so I'm glad I.
well, I'm sure your bad hair day is better than my good hair day. So, where are you clicking in from?
Nashville. I'm at home, love.
Oh, okay, great. I'm just a few hours east of you. I'm in the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, just right over by Dollywood. So,
Mm,
anyway. Well, listen, it's I love well, first of all, how have you been since we last spoke? You've been pretty busy.
busy is one word. I've been very good, but yes, very busy, which has been fantastic. But yeah, I've been a busy year working on this album and touring. But yeah, I can't complain. I'm very well in myself and happy. So
Well, good
we.
deal. Good deal. Well, I love this new single and I love the new album. Great stuff on there, and Kevin Shirley, of course, doing the production, which if his name's associated with it, it's going to be a good record. So, tell me a little bit about this. How did it all come together, and the whole story behind it?
Well, it was a really fun one to make actually. Black and Gold. It's 10th studio album, and I think for that reason, I don't know if it's because I've got quite bad OCD, um, and so I kind of focused on it being the 10th studio album in that I wanted it to kind of wrap up the first decade of my recording career.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I turned 40 when I was making it. So kind of going into a fresh decade, it felt like a really nice way of, as I said, wrapping up the tenure of a decade long of a recording career and doing songs maybe that I'd wanted to do in that time but hadn't. And also, moving forward, writing certain songs if there was anything that I felt I wanted to kind of lay to bed, so to speak. and kind of close that door. So it was a really fun album to make and really therapeutic. And I think it's a great mix of blues, rock, soul, as usually those are the three genres I kind of touch on. And yeah, I think it's a really positive, good album, I think. And obviously a lot of that is credit to Mr. Kevin Shirley, as you mentioned, and the fabulous band.
How long did it take you to put it together from concept to mastering?
Not very long. We recorded, it took about 10 days to 2 weeks to record. Writing, I did a few weeks before. I always tend to write just before the album. If not, I'm one of those people. I'm my father's daughter. Unless there's a deadline, I can't focus.
Same way.
Yeah, my mother was the planner and very organized. My dad is the same as me. Unless you're really panicking, you can't make your brain focus. So I wrote
That's how
it
I
quite
was
quick.
in college with my papers, night before. Great work.
Oh,
Yep.
I history homework on the way to school.
Well, I had to do it a little sooner than that, but yeah, I get your drift for sure. What were the differences in now you've worked with Kevin before, hadn't you, on previous albums? Yeah.
I've had the third album I've done with Kevin.
Okay. So what are the differences working on this album compared to those albums as well as all the others that you've worked on, either of your own or other people that you've collaborated with?
I think this one was probably the easiest album to make,
Hmm.
actually. It felt, and I think that was because of my mind frame going into it, or a combination of my mind frame, that this one's sort of for me to do what I want to do. I want to wrap up this, as I talked about, um, and excited to be going into, a fresh decade of recording after this album. I was probably more relaxed because, again, it's the third album I've done with Kevin now. It was the second one with this same band, so it kind of felt like going home. We did it at RCA again, which is a studio I've worked in a lot. That's very, aside from being one of the most historic music studios in the world, it's also just a fantastic place to be and feels like home. So yeah, it was just it was a little too easy. I'm sure.
Did
You
it
know?
scare you?
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. It was a little too easy. But yeah, no, it was good fun.
Cool. What were there any surprises while you were working on it?
I think the choice of covers at the last minute, I decided to put forward two cover ideas, which I'm rarely do covers, and if I do them, they're usually Kevin's suggestion. He's really good at, like he picked Slow Gin for Bonamassa. He's got a really good ear.
Mhm.
And again, Black and Gold, which ended up being the title track, was a single, but it was a big pop hit in Europe in the
Mhm.
early 2000s. And I just always loved it. I thought the lyric was really sort of desperate and could make a really good, interesting sort of blues gospel song. And again, going back to why not do the things I've always wanted to do, I suggested it to Kevin and I drafted up a little demo for him of me playing it, how I would approach it. And I thought he'd shoot it down. I thought he'd say no. And he was like, yeah, great, let's go cut it. So that was a nice surprise that I managed to surprise Kevin with a good cover idea.
Boy, that's an accomplishment, I would imagine. I've
Never happened. It happened once.
well, with Kevin, I'm just curious because of, I mean, he's a legend, right? When it comes to producing and all the great bands and artists he's worked with. So for him to take the time to work with someone that's, from a consumer standpoint, such as myself, I'm not a musician. I'm not, in the technical side of things, but he's one of those birds that when you see his name associated with something, you're in for a good time, like I mentioned earlier. But did was there anything in particular when you went in the studio with him that seemed to be like just one of those golden nuggets that you're thinking, gosh, Kevin just shared this with me, and moving forward, this is a big life changer for me as far as my career goes, as far as my playing, recording, what have you.
Um, I mean, on some level, every song I do with Kevin feels like that, because he is at that level that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I were to do these songs and produce them myself, I just don't have that magic touch, that ear that he has. And for example, on this album, I wrote a song that was a tribute to a friend of mine that passed away, and January of last year, and kind of got me thinking about grief and my own grief with that, and the grief I had from losing my mom many years ago. And I wrote this song, and then you take it to Kevin, and it's got a certain vibe to it, and I thought I did a really good job. And then Kevin takes it, and he kind of turned it into this almost Peter Gabriel-ish kind of track. And the ideas he has for it is so beyond anything I could come up with. You know, it's which I'm not saying that song is a game changer in terms of my career, but to be able to take a song that's so personal to you and also think, actually, I've written a really good song here, you know, because sometimes you're like, this sounds a bit dodgy, I'm not sure. Felt pretty confident in it. And then to see it elevated is just such a lovely thing as an artist. But there's definitely bigger moments, like when he brought Summertime, I will admit, which we did in 2015. He was like, I think this could be a game changer for you. And I thought, like, oh God, I've got like, this is one of my, Ella Fitzgerald is my queen. I love Ella. So I that song every day because I listen to Ella every day. So I couldn't get that out my head. And I knew everyone else would try and do the Janice comparison because I sound more like Janice than obviously I do Ella. So I was mostly thinking, oh God, this is a terrible idea. And it worked out great. It really did. Like, it really did well for some PBS. And everyone, you know, always requests it at shows. So, yeah, that was definitely one of those moments. And I hope Kevin never listens to this, but basically he was right and I was wrong.
Well, I am trying to interview him. I interviewed Josh Smith last week, and I'm trying to, I've been after Kevin for a while, but hopefully we were going to interview. This is a couple years ago, and then both of our schedules just got frazzled and never circled back until this week. I shot him a note, and we'll see what happens. But
Many interviews, to be honest.
pardon
I
me.
think he's a bit. I don't think he does that many interviews, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think the luxury of the producer that they get to hide in a dark studio and not do.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's true. But he did agree a couple years ago. I mean, he gave me his email address, and but then, like I said, it kind of fell apart. So I'm a patient man. I've waited. I can wait years. So
he's
no,
not going.
the
He's fit as
older
a.
the older I get, the less time. Obviously, I can't be too patient, but I'm a bit older than you. I'm old enough to be your dad. So,
I
but
believe it.
I am. My daughter's your age. She's turning 41 this fall. So, what's the what song would you point to as a calling card on this album? I tried to pick one out, and there's a couple I really thoroughly think that I could point to and say, hey, if you haven't heard of Joanne Shaw Taylor, check this song out, and then go for the rest of the library, go the rest of the catalog. But what would you point to as a calling card on this album?
Just I'm trying to flip through the track listing in my head as quick as I can. um, I would say probably "Look What I've Become,"
Yeah.
maybe because it kind of mixes. I mean, I've always said I'm a blues guitarist that's a soul singer that likes writing rock pop songs. You know, I don't. I mean, I'm not a traditional blues artist. I'm massively influenced by blues. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I think that's the mix of having that kind of desperate poppy soul vocal that's in a slow rock song with a massive blues guitar solo in it. So I think it kind of hits all of the or checks all the boxes, I think.
Uh, so when you go into the studio, in watching videos of that are shot of say Joe Bonamassa playing and recording in the studio, the semi truck scene. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it seems like a semi truck backs up and all these different guitars are being unloaded. Because I mean, he owns every guitar on the planet. Do
You're
what?
not over exaggerating. I said there's at least two trucks. You're not over exaggerating.
I don't doubt that at all. So so he knows what I mean. He's got an encyclopedic knowledge of all that. But for you, do you? I mean, I know you probably don't have a semi truck full, but do you bring in a lot of different guitars because of the different tones and sounds and such, or do you just stick with one or two guitars and just kind of work through the whole album?
I tend to stick to one or two guitars. I usually take in my main Esquire Junior, and then I take in a Les Paul. Uh, I tend to sound very, very similar on any Telecaster. It's it is one of those things that whether you think my tone is a good thing or a bad thing, that is my tone. What amp I use or what guitar doesn't seem to change it too much. Les Paul, obviously there are certain sounds you can get out of a Les Paul that you can't get out of a telly. So I tend to keep my guitars pretty yeah, I'm a bit more basic, but I'm also very privileged that I have the luxury of being best friends and next door neighbours with Joe, and I have the spare key to his house. So if I do need to borrow anything, I'll break
Have
up.
you ever accidentally like walked off with one of his that he didn't notice or anything? I won't tell, I promise.
I actually have a 1959 Esquire of his that he lent to me a year ago for a guitar shoot that's still sitting in my apartment right now. But in my defense, he came round. He he made me laugh because I said, "Oh, I'll bring the guitar back next week," and he was kind of laughing. And I said, "What?" And he said, "To be honest, I forgot I had it until I dug it out for you to." I was looking. He was looking for a different guitar, and then he did come around to say hi to my dog one day, and the guitar was sitting there. I was like, "Do you want to take it home with you?" And he went, "Nah, can't be bothered." So
Wow.
in my defense, I have tried to give it back to him.
Okay. Well,
It's,
we've got it on video here to back you up. So you can subpoena it if it goes to trial. So
I mean, it's been like a year now, so I think I've got sort of squatters' rights on it. Um, 9/10 of the law.
there you go. You know, I watched. Did you see the documentary on Norman's rare guitars? Or
I did watch it, and I found it. Joe told me to watch it, and I found it fascinating because I didn't realize Norm's story
I didn't
more than.
either.
Yeah, it was brilliant documentary.
Yeah, I thought his wife made a very interesting comment,
Mm,
and that is, you know, Norm's obviously, you know, in the process of probably winding things up or trying to figure out how to transition the business and all that. And she made the comment about she wishes Joe would take the store over. And I thought,
yeah,
well, you know, I wonder who has more guitars, Joe or Norm.
probably to be. Uh, I think yeah, I'm sure they would love that. I think I've heard that mentioned. I don't think that's probably in Joe's future.
Yeah.
I think the boy's worked hard enough on one career. I'm not sure he sees running a guitar as enough. Who
Yeah,
knows?
that makes sense. Well, he did say that, you know, he's only got a few good years left in him, but God, I'd love to have his bad years, you know, to play that way and such, you
Yeah, I mean, he's been telling me he's been retiring for 10 years and
know.
he's just taken a week off and he's moaned every day this week about having a week off. So, you know, the boy just protesteth too much
That's true.
sometimes.
Boy, the last time I interviewed him is around the same time I interviewed you. And I guess I got him in a bad, I didn't get him in a bad mood. I found him in a surly mood. And boy,
That
I
was
asked,
a good mood.
do what?
That was probably him actually in a good mood.
Well, I asked him something about the fundraiser he did during the pandemic. I was bragging on him. And I thought, you know, this would be a good, nice, positive way to end the interview. Holy moly, he went off on Rolling Stone magazine about how they didn't support him at all and all that, which I loved it because, you know, I don't like Rolling Stone magazine either. But boy, I thought that was an unintended consequence with him. But I just let him go, and I'm very proud of those quotes. But
Oh,
it was, I'd hate to be on his bad side. Let's put it that way.
yeah. Fortunately, you probably caught him on a day where they'd given him 10 interviews to do and not told him until that morning.
Yeah,
So
well,
how it goes behind. So he was justified in being a bit grumpy and tired, but sorry,
the
get
guy's
that
a
side.
workaholic, you know. So you got a tour coming up. What tell fans about the tour and what you got going on the rest of the year?
Yeah, we are doing a big US tour. We're starting with the Joe Bonamassa Alaska cruise, and then we fly over to England. We do England, Holland, Germany. Come back and do a big States tour. The dates are on the website, joanneshawtaylor.com. I think we're out for about a month in the States. Really looking forward to it. Going to a bunch of different places. And yeah, always love touring here. So, and it's the Black and Gold tour. So I'm looking forward to the new set and playing some of these new songs live finally.
I don't think I think the closest you're getting to me is it Asheville? Are you doing Asheville?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're doing Atlanta, Georgia, and Asheville.
That's not bad too. So yeah, I'll try to catch one of those too, and maybe we can shake hands or something. It would be a
Come
great.
both.
Well, I'm a dad's caregiver. He's got Alzheimer's, so I have to make arrangements so I can get away. But I'll try to hit one or both, and we can meet and shake hands and all that. What else would you like to accomplish recording wise that you haven't done? So this new decade you're going into.
I don't know really. I mean, I don't think too much about that. I like to kind of work in the moment because that's the lovely thing as well, is that, what I really want to do is be able to look back, hopefully when I'm very old and very grey and very cantankerous, um, like our friend Joseph, um, and kind of just look at what I love about making albums, aside from the release of it and the purpose and the creativity, is that, White Sugar for me is a snapshot of me when I was 22, and I don't really remember much about that girl anymore, or, and it'd be nice to look back and see Joanne at 40, their little they document my life, I suppose, and who I am in that moment as a person. So it's hard to kind of predict where you're going to go musically when I don't know where my life's sort of going to take me. But
Yeah,
hopefully, I just hope that when I look back on whatever amount of albums I have, they all sound like me and are all very authentic. Because that's really what I care about.
oh,
And then,
good. Good deal. Well, I'm a huge fan. It's always a joy to be able to talk with you, Joanne. And my door is always open to you. If you ever have a project, thankfully, especially to Joe, I am not Rolling Stone magazine, but I do have a decent following and around the world, so I can do my little part in helping get the word out. And I'm always glad to do so. But I'm a huge fan. Love everything you do, and hopefully, I can catch you at one of those two shows down the pike. And let's talk again soon, okay?
perfect. Sounds good. Thank you for having me, and best wishes. Dad love.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
This has been another fun-filled episode of Boomerocity with the host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quentin Hope. Quentin is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quentin at quentinhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sims Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and or its assignees. Inquiry should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.